All right, now, everybody. Quiet, listen to me. We're going to start a show. Now, some of you people have been with me before. You know it's going to be a tough grind. But we're going to have a show.
What up? Welcome to the club, everybody. I'm your host, Mark. We've got the full crew for you, and it's just great to have you here. Yeah, I love it. I got to share, there's been a lot of pre-show action already, and I want to share much of that action with you. But first, I want to welcome Kim.
How are you?
And Kim is doing news today, as she does every day, dutifully watching all events, both worldwide, through the Bay Area, through California, and the U.S., and fabulous producer John Daly. And he has been fresh off a move. He's in the middle of a move, really. Did you move already, or what did you have to do?
Because we're starting up this channel, I've extended my move. Yeah, I've stretched it out to about a week. So okay. I'm through the cleaning phase and sign off from the landlord that I didn't trash the place.
Oh,
have you ever seen anything like this?
So, is that what they said?
So it looks like I'm getting my security deposit. Yeah. I don't know. Maybe they were expecting. They were expecting it to be trashed.
They walked in and said, "I've never seen anything like this before."
Right, There's never been anything like this.
Right.
They've never seen grout this white.
So you've done that, but you're saying that you haven't like moving everything to the new place.
I've been running stuff back. I've been running stuff back and forth with my car, but I have the U-Haul truck, the van, on Saturday to take all the big stuff. So I gotta say, moving sucks. And every time you move, you're reminded that moving sucks.
It's one of the biggest stressors in life, they say, right? They talk about losing a job and moving as two of the big. Divorce, I think, is up there. I forget the top five, but I think that's definitely in the top five cleanly. Tony is here.
Thanks, Tony.
Yeah, Tony is our guy. Last night made a like a paramedic type run, with sirens blaring to try to correct a little audio thing. So
thanks, Tony.
Yeah, he was one of those.
It's fine.
Yeah, you did fix it, but man, you really.
Hi, Tony.
He's the real thing.
Your audio is so clean and fresh.
Yes, thank you.
Tony, what angered you?
All right, so the crew is here is the point. So I do have a lot of show. Belinda Waymouth coming by, Jefferson Graham coming by. I want to talk about the latest developments in the midterm ramp-up. I'll answer questions about Pat Thurston being on the show, all of these different things, John Rothman as well. So these are questions that have sort of been percolating in the chat. I'll remind you, you can chat with us in real time on the YouTube chat. And in fact, it's kind of a better way to chat than the old way, because the old way was only one way and you couldn't see what other people were saying. This new way, you are able to actually see the community.
Why don't you just text it?
That is this show. So please jump on the text. And of course, as we say, hit that like button, because every video has to be liked for us to be in the algorithm of YouTube in a positive way. So smash
it with your iron rod.
That like button. Now, I wanted to mention something huge is happening. I've got kind of a major announcement. And I did announce it on Twitter. So
ladies and gentlemen, the one and only Young Thug is here.
Yeah. Thank you. That wasn't quite the intro that I was looking for, but we don't have any other kind of big intro. This is a major announcement music?
It's not really in the budget yet.
Okay, all right.
Ladies and gentlemen, the one and only Young Thug is here.
Oh, thank you. All right. Thank you. Please. So I want to announce that the latest merch, and I should have told you this, Tony, ahead of time, at getmarkmerch.com. Getmarkmerch.com. You can also see this on my Twitter feed, which is @MarkTLive. You will see the latest T-shirt. We've never come up with a T-shirt before. As you know, we have coffee mugs. We have hats like the one that you see me wearing. We have the hydration systems, the Mark Thompson, some people just call them water bottles. We call them the Mark Thompson Show hydration systems. We have all of those on the site. We even have, let me see if I have, we even have these Mark Thompson Show flip-flops. I don't think we ever, how dare you, seriously? What,
that was a seriously what the, see, I don't want to say it. What the?
I will say this, Kim, to be fair to you.
We could step all over your name?
Yes, you can step on me. Those who, step on me with resentment, hate. I don't believe we ever sold even one pair of these. I know he might have. I don't know.
That's
I don't really
shocking.
follow it.
That's shocking.
But what I do want to tell you, so my point is, all manner of things, including Mark Thompson Show flip-flops. By the way, these have never been opened or worn, so
Also shocking.
maybe they'll be auctioned off. But what I would like to tell you is that at the getmarkmerch.com site, today, we've debuted the KGO in Exile t-shirts. That's right. You can get a KGO in Exile t-shirt on the Get Mark merch site. You can support the show that way. And you can live the rebellion, my friends. That's right. Live the rebellion. That's the point. Now, the other announcement before I move on is that the first person, we like to track the very first person who buys a piece of merch. I'll actually share two people. One, I don't think is in the Bay Area. I'm going to ask you. I don't recognize the area code. Carla from the 605 is the very first person to purchase the KGO in Exile t-shirt. Carla. John, I'm sorry, is it 650?
That's South
wait.
Dakota.
Yeah.
No,
But that doesn't mean they don't.
650 is Bay
650.
Area. That's
Oh, you said
Peninsula.
650? I thought you said 605.
Oh, yeah, I thought it was 6. Oh, it does say Carla from the 605, and that is
605
South
is
Dakota.
South Dakota, sorry.
Oh, no, but 650. Oh, yeah. That is the Bay Area, so never
That's
mind.
the peninsula. Yeah.
I
But
thought
that
that's
doesn't mean
a-
the person doesn't live here. You know, people keep their phone numbers as they move across the country.
Of course, yeah. So it said Carla from the 605 is the very first person to purchase the Exile shirt. White. We make them in white and also in black. But now I see below it says it's Carla from the 650. Okay, so that is the Bay
got
Area.
it.
Because I thought it was weird. Someplace outside the Bay Area or outside
605.
California.
Typo.
Another one before the show went on, Patrice from the 707. Shout! Oh, the 707.
We know where that's
homie
at.
in the North Bay. That's right.
Yeah, very cool. So anyway, you can find tote bags and all the rest there at getmarkmerch.com. But we're really excited about the KGO and Exile t-shirts. So
Do we have a
there is
Steve
that.
Moskowitz?
The other thing I'm excited about, let me get to it.
Whoever is producing this thing has no idea what they're doing.
The Mark Thompson Show is presented by our founding sponsor, tax attorney Steve Moskowitz. You've heard me lavish praise on Steve Moskowitz. There's a reason for that. He's super together when it comes to taxes. He'll be aggressive on your behalf, but he'll be everything within the law. Still, you need a representative and you need somebody of tremendous competence and tremendous respect. That guy is Steve Moskowitz, and his firm can handle tax cases across the country, not just in the Bay Area. I encourage you to call him, 888-TAX-DEAL, 888-TAXDEAL. And I want you to know, before you call him, that he's been a great sponsor and supporter of this show. And for that reason alone, you know he has impeccable taste. Yes.
Well, I do
All
believe
right.
he has a pair of the flip-flops.
We should send him something, you know.
You could send him one of everything.
Yeah, well, it's expensive, the stuff. We have to buy it. I buy it also.
Hey, it
I
could
don't
be a
get it
tax
for free.
write-off.
Oh, that's true. I should talk to him about writing off the gift that I'm going to get him.
That's right.
Very good. If you want to reach the show, it's themarkthompsonshow@gmail.com. And you can go to themarkthompsonshow.com, the website, and it has a Patreon link. And we love all our patrons, and we run their names at the end of the show. And if you're contributing this week, we update, I think, the patrons every Friday. Is that when we do it? We update all
Every weekend, yeah.
Every weekend we'll update it. So we'll have that for you. You want to start with politics real quick, or do you want to start with the bizarre world of Kanye West?
Yay.
Let's just give you a little Kanye, and then I want to talk to you a little bit about what's going on politically as we ramp up to the midterms. There's a lot serious that's going on. Oh, and speaking of politics, people asked about John Rothman. We are going to have John Rothman visit. He'll probably visit next week with some thoughts on what's happening with the midterms. Of course, next week is a critical week with the midterms. And also Pat Thurston, who wanted to wait until she had an announcement. So she's waiting to come on when she has something to announce. If she doesn't have something to announce in the next couple of weeks, I'll put pressure on her and try to get her to show up here. There is a Twitter Spaces that's going on Saturday with Chip Franklin, myself, and Nikki. and I think John and Kim were invited as well to talk about life after KGO. So you should watch for that. You can watch for that on my Twitter feed, and we'll tell you more about that tomorrow as well. Kanye West escorted out of Skechers headquarters. Skechers is that shoe, isn't it, Kim? The hot shoe that the kids wear?
Yeah, they're comfy.
Yeah.
They're comfy.
It looks like, Adidas said bye-bye, and he was like, okay, I'll try Skechers. And Skechers like,
It's hard to get in that building.
You're out.
Well, I mean, it's one thing to have a meeting declined, but he was escorted out of the building. The building's in Manhattan Beach in Southern California.
Well, didn't he bring like a TV crew? Or a videographer?
That would have been the thing to do. But that would have been the thing to do.
That's not going to turn people on.
Good day, sir.
The company had previously described its partnership with Ye, who of course is short for Kanye, as the most significant partnership a non-athlete and sports person brand ever had. That was, I believe, Adidas had said that. They spent a lot of money on him, $250 million price tag for them. I think they still have to write that check. I told you that yesterday. I'm sure that contract is constructed such that they can't just, terminate him with cause and not have to pay.
I read a story that they're going to sell the merchandise. They're just taking his name off of it.
I see. Makes sense. Peloton also confirming that they are going to ban all of his songs.
Yeah, Peloton's like, we've had enough trouble. Please leave us alone.
Right. We're in a free fall already. So you won't hear any Kanye songs when you're pedaling with Peloton. The other thing that Kanye said that is just weird is this guy becomes clearly is unhinged, but oddly powerful, which is why it's worth spending a moment or two on it. Even his anti-Semitic rant unleashed other anti-Semitic rants. I mean, that's the scary thing about hate speech, is it unleashes and, in a way, makes acceptable other hate speech. That's why you need people in high-profile positions to act responsibly and use responsible rhetoric, because people pay attention to them. It's the same reason that you want high-profile people to pitch your brand. If you're pitching a commercial brand, right? They look for celebrities to pitch the brand. Why? Because it puts the shimmer of celebrity on whatever brand that is. Similarly, it puts the shimmer of celebrity on hate speech when Kanye says these vile things. So he now, this is away from hate speech, is claiming that Quentin Tarantino and Jamie Foxx got the idea for Django Unchained from him, from Kanye. After less than 7 minutes in a heated interview between Kanye West and Piers Morgan, the rapper made claims that director Quentin Tarantino and Jamie Foxx, quote, got the idea for the concept of their 2012 film Django Unchained from him. West, who legally changed his name to Ye in 2021, said he pitched a similar idea when initially brainstorming the music video for his 2005 song Gold Digger, which featured Jamie Foxx. Ye released the official music video in 2009, centers on a montage of Foxx and Ye dancing with various pinup models. So far, I don't see the overlap to Django Unchained. And they don't either. The final product bears little resemblance to Django Unchained, but that didn't stop the rapper from claiming the film's plot was his idea. Tarantino, this is a quote, Tarantino can write a movie about slavery where actually him and Jamie, they got the idea from me. Because the idea for Django, I pitched to Jamie Foxx and Quentin Tarantino as the video for Gold Digger. And then Tarantino turned it into a film. So that's, of course, Django was written and directed by Quentin Tarantino.
He might be a narcissist.
You think? Pretty crazy.
There's never been anything like this.
Oh, yeah, from one narcissist to another. There's a weird thing going on, in addition to the midterm elections, that I'd love to, I'd like to offer a couple of thoughts. I think the Democrats have let a big issue get into the outfield on them. I'll get back to that in a moment, but there are a little, there is a rise of a bizarre strategy in America now. And I'm not suggesting, and I'll tell you what the strategy is here in a second, that it didn't exist before, but it exists now in a naked, bald-faced way that we have never seen before. And I'm talking about naked power grabs at any cost and using any even bizarre strategy. And here is an example. In Pennsylvania, there is one Democrat retiring, okay? A seated Democrat. It's in Western Pennsylvania. Mike Doyle is the Democrat's name. And there is another candidate who's running to take that spot of the Democrat. On the GOP side, he's running. And his name is Mike Doyle. So he has the same name as the Democrat who is retiring. The problem comes, and again, it's a subtle but I think clear example of what I'm talking about. The problem comes in that campaign literature, which has been distributed throughout that district, makes little reference to the fact that the Mike Doyle who's coming up as the Republican is not the Mike Doyle who is the sitting congressperson. And so you see vote for Mike Doyle as, I vote for Mike Doyle. I vote for Mike Doyle every congressional season.
That must be an oversight.
Yeah. So, why wouldn't they mention that? Why wouldn't that? It's scarcely mentioned in campaign literature. In other words, they're counting on the electorate to basically be kind of lazing through it. And to be fair, people have got a lot of stuff going on. I mean, not everybody follows politics on a granular level. And so you end up with Mike Doyle winning the seat of Mike Doyle because voters are literally confused, had no idea. So when Mike Doyle put out his retirement announcement, that he was moving on, he literally said, there is a gentleman with the same name as me who is running in the new 12th district, which is part of the old 18th district. That's about the only thing we share in common is the name Mike Doyle. He served Western Pennsylvania in this congressional district since the early 90s. He's now retiring. We are not related, he said in a statement. We come from different parties, and we have different ideas on how the government should be run. So I should just mention this also. In that race, Summer Lee is the candidate he's running against, the Republican Mike Doyle now. And Summer Lee is a progressive Democrat, so it's a real difference. And voters who are not paying attention may get a cold slap in the face on,
Well, I have a big announcement now. I am officially changing my name to Nancy Pelosi legally.
You're going to run as a Republican?
I love that. Yeah. You could, why not cash in on all that Pelosi love? There's a San Francisco empty lot. And then after Steve Moskowitz, I'll share with you my hot tip for the Democrats. It may be too late, but I think you'll agree with me that it's like one of the major offerings that the Democrats can have. And I think they're leaving it. You don't hear enough about it. I'll get to it in just a moment. But there's an empty San Francisco lot with no owner that's creating this controversy after residents try to claim the space as a garden. It's in the Mission. They call it The Lot. It can be found at Harrison and 22nd Streets for those who know the city. And it's a pretty big space. It seems just kind of real silly that it's just sitting there with no owner, says Jeffrey Yip, a Mission resident. To understand how we got to this dilemma, who owns this lot and who put up the fence, they speak to people who have been writing about this space for literally years. I mean, imagine this empty space in your neighborhood. It's just sitting there. It's an empty lot. And people have decided they want to turn it into a garden, into an open space. I mean, if it's just going to sit there, nothing's going to happen. And here's the story. You can see it a little bit. They did a story on ABC7 about it. But According to the San Francisco Real Estate Division, it appears that the last owner of this lot was Southern Pacific Railroad. It was in the early 90s. That network of railroads went out of business. So the Hillary Ronan's office, the supervisor, weighed in on this. All kinds of things that have happened over the years, people trying to take claims on this land. There have been lawsuits, fake deeds, lost deeds. The railroad did have permission to use it, and when they went defunct, they went to go get rid of the land. They found out that they didn't own it. It wasn't really theirs to dispose of. That's where the controversy began as to who owns the land. I guess the railroad is leasing the land. So this park across the...
Shocking, like how there could be a lot in San Francisco that no one has owned still for years and years, and they can't figure out if anyone has the rightful claim to it. I mean,
it makes sense. In Southern Pacific, started in the 1800s, late 1800s. Like if you go through this neighborhood, I'm pretty familiar with it. You'll see a lot of odd things because they're former train tracks, right? So they're like paths and roads that go through the block at a diagonal. So there are a lot of these little like leftover pieces.
The pictures of the lot are, for those who are watching live on the stream, the pictures of the lot are there. And if you're watching even recorded on the stream, but if you're watching the show, as opposed to listing it, it does exist as a podcast later, you can see the lot. And you see why residents want to do something. It's, at what point do we get a chance to do something with this?
Well, there is a park around the corner that's in a similar lot. It's like a triangle. It's a gated park and playground for kids.
And it exists close to a preschool. And the concern is with the park across the street, it didn't have proper fencing, doesn't have a schedule of when the space is open and closed to the public. I guess this is the concern that, this has to be managed by someone. So if you want to turn it into, and right now there's a padlock and a fence around it, okay? So if you want to turn it into a usable space, you need to figure out who's going to administrate that entire thing. There has to be, someone has to administer to the comings and goings of security or whatever it might be. In other words, someone needs to take responsibility for that lot, but they need to work that out. And Heather Knight, I remember from the Chronicle, wrote a piece about an abandoned McDonald's, I think. I want to say it's somewhere out in the avenues. Where's I forget where it was, but it's also in San Francisco. And similar problem with residents trying to take things into their own hands and the city going in and saying, hey, you can't take things in your own hands. This isn't your property. Well, then it's just sitting here. It's becoming, that was even worse. It's becoming like a drug den. So.
And if you're wondering, this spot is about a little over a mile from the Whole Foods in Noe Valley.
So, thank you, John. I always appreciate the Whole Foods knowledge. Hey, can I welcome in our OG when it comes to sponsors? He is our original sponsor, our exclusive sponsor, the guy who stepped up to support the show. He's veteran Bay Area tax attorney Steve Moskowitz, everybody. I was talking earlier, and maybe off the air as well, about taxes and government, and I thought of you. And I was talking about PPP, and I was talking about all the stuff that went down with the start of COVID. There were a bunch of government programs, and it seemed like a lot of average American taxpayers were elbowed out of those programs by bigger companies. So I come to this program you talk about a lot because it really is an offering for all of us. And even the sole proprietors, the point you were making, ERC has something for them as well. Hi, Steve.
And I have a lot to say about that. Before I do, with this lot you were talking about.
Yeah.
In California, there's a law called adverse possession. If you come in and just for 5 years use the property and you pay the property taxes, legally the land can become yours.
Wow, is that right? Was it you, John, who was saying we should talk to Steve Moskowitz?
Of course you should talk to me. I'm a lawyer. I know, we always talk about taxes, but I am a lawyer. It's like a doctor that specializes in one part of the body. He's still a doctor.
So we could set up a studio, move everybody down there, and stake it out for 5 years.
But you have to pay the property taxes on it, Steve.
Yeah,
that's no problem.
Basically, for example, suppose Mark got a gig in Paris and he just went off there and left his house just sit there.
I like it so far.
And I put a fence around it and I pay the property taxes for the next 5 years. That property belongs to Steve. It's called adverse possession.
Wow, that's just unreal. That's just unreal. So literally, we can find out, and this is a note for residents in the city, you can find out what the taxes are. The residents of that community, they could pool their resources, pay the taxes for, you say, 5 years, is that it?
Yeah, and obviously, before you do anything, you want to talk to a lawyer because, again, we're just talking about general principles.
Okay.
And it's like a doctor saying, you should exercise. But before you exercise, you go to the doctor to make sure you're healthy enough that you don't have a heart attack while you're exercising. But the bottom line is, anybody's interested, go to a lawyer of your choice, talk about adverse possession. Because in California, if you use the property as yours for 5 years and pay the property taxes, that property can be yours. So go to the lawyer. He'll tell you how to do it. And when I heard you talking about it, I said, hey, I could put a fence around it and say, Steve's garden, pay the taxes for 5 years, and there you go. But again, like I always say, don't do anything until you talk to your lawyer. This is a show for education only. I'm not giving legal advice.
I get it. But if that's a great wrinkle, and I have not heard it or read it anywhere. So what do you have for us today, Steve?
Talk to me.
Yeah, that's right.
That
honestly,
times when people come in to talk about their taxes, they'll come in and they have another problem. And it's kind of like if I were a medical doctor and somebody comes in because they're worried about their high blood pressure. And I'd say to them, well, we're going to talk about your high blood pressure, but sir, I couldn't help to notice that you have an arrow going through your head. And I think we should address that too. So that's how we get into a lot of other areas other than tax. But going back to what you asked me, there's a major difference between ERC and PPP. What you were talking about with PPP, the government set aside a sum of money and said, here you go, first come, first served. It was like putting a bunch of food on a table and saying to hungry people, there's the food's yours, but when the food's gone, that's it. And that's what happened with PPP. It was a mad rush, and shortly thereafter, money's used up, no more PPP, sorry, goodbye. ERC is not like that. The Congress, in their infinite wisdom, didn't say they're going to set aside a certain amount of money. This is general treasury. It's unlimited. That's a major, major difference between PPP and ERC. You don't have to worry like, PPP, literally a few days and the money was gone. Whereas this is U.S. Treasury. So the bottom line is it's unlimited money. And you say, well, what do I have to do to get this? And there's two ways to qualify. Neither one will work. One is real easy. It's a certain drop in your gross revenue. That's math. You either made the number or you didn't. Nothing to talk about. But a big problem is a lot of firms stop there and they say, if you didn't drop revenue by a certain amount, no ERC for you. Wrong. There's another test, an independent test, but it's far more complex. It's called full or partial closure. Like a store could only use their inside 25% of capacity, even a food store like Safeway. And we'll go through this with you. Not everybody qualifies. If you don't qualify, we'll tell you why. But a lot of people do qualify under this. It's just a lot more complex. That's why a lot of people are ignoring it. We'll tell you why you qualify. On the other hand, avoid like the plague, the fraudsters, because right now the IRS is investigating all kinds of companies that are just making things up and saying that everybody qualifies. You do not want to get involved in any type of fraud. And especially with these companies that just opened up literally to do ERC, and then they fill the applications and they're gone. So when the IRS has some questions, they're not going to be around for you. We're a law firm. We've been practicing tax law for over 30 years. We're here for you. We'll keep you away from the two extremes. On the one hand, if you do qualify under the alternative ground, let's get every dollar to which you're legally entitled. But you don't want to have anything to do with anything fraudulent. And our job is to tell you what you're entitled to and what you're not.
Reach Steve at 888-TAX-DEAL, 888-TAX-DEAL. You see how he's a ninja. He can help you with so many things beyond even maybe what you're going to see him for originally. So I would encourage you to reach him. 888-TAX-DEAL, TAXDEAL, 888-TAX-DEAL. From anywhere in the country and anywhere in the Bay Area, Steve Moskowitz can help you and his group at MoskowitzLLP.com. That's where how you can reach him on the web, MoskowitzLLP.com. Thanks, Steve.
Thanks,
Steve
Mark.
Moskowitz, everybody. Yeah. All right. Love it.
Hey, which one do you use, Mark Thompson?
Who's Mark Thompson?
The Mark Thompson Show.
want to get to Jefferson Graham in the next half hour, and I'll also share with you the nugget I have for you for Democrats and how they are ignoring what I feel is a real power position they have. They're in trouble, the Democrats. There's no question about it. But that doesn't mean there aren't things that they can say and do, and they should be saying and doing. So in the chat, you can reach us at on the YouTube chat. It streams, and you can reach us there, and we'll read some chats. I'll also read some acknowledgments. You can smash the like button. We need you to smash the like button, and that's how we stay relevant in the YouTube algorithm. And, of course, subscribe to the show, share the show. Most of all, of course, your contributions. Come to the Patreon page. Patreon is a great vehicle for us, and we're actually going to be making some positive changes and evolving that Patreon page to another level, and I think you'll really like it. So there are actually a bunch of exciting things that are happening in terms of supporting the show in fun ways with payoffs along the way. So I'm excited about announcing them. Some of them will come next week, so I'll be making the announcements then. And as you said, I made the announcement already that at getmarkmerch.com, the new KGO in Exile t-shirt is there. Wear the rebellion, my friends. Wear the rebellion. We'll take a short break for news with Kim, find out what's going on, and then back with the great Jefferson Graham as we continue. Mark Thompson Show.
Why are you yelling?
The Mark Thompson Show.
On the Mark Thompson Show, I'm Kim McAllister. This report sponsored by tax attorney Steve Moskowitz at 888-TAX-DEAL. President Biden is cheering the latest GDP report, which shows the nation's economy grew in the third quarter. The GDP increasing by 2.6% after the economy had shrunk in the previous 2 quarters. In a statement, the president said the report is proof our economic recovery is continuing to power forward. President Biden's approval rating is edging down. The latest Reuters Ipsos poll finding 39% of Americans approve of Biden's job performance, down from 40% last week. 30-year mortgage rates surpassing 7%. Freddie Mac says the rate went up to 7.08% this week, more than double what it was this time last year. Meantime, another interest rate increase is expected next week. A man who imported fireworks that later exploded in South Los Angeles is being sentenced to 5 months in federal prison. That's all? The explosion, June 30th of last year, injured 17 people and caused $1 million in damage to a neighborhood. It was the result of a botched detonation by the LAPD bomb squad. There's a new crisis unfolding in the Bay Area. The transit agencies are dealing with a bus driver shortage. They're scrambling to fix it. Officials admit at a meeting last night that they saw it coming but haven't prepared very well. Experts have recommended increasing pay, improving employee facilities, and ensuring safety for everyone aboard. At least 200,000 bus drivers are needed nationwide. You can check those Powerball tickets because one lucky player in the Bay Area is waking up a winner. A ticket sold at a 76 station in Los Gatos matched 5 of the 6 numbers, I would say, in last night's drawing. The prize is worth more than $1.5 million. So no one got all 6 numbers, so the jackpot jumps to $800 million for Saturday, making it the second largest ever. And Motley Crue's lead guitarist is retiring from touring. In a statement issued to Variety, co-founder Mick Mars citing his battle with ankylosing spondylitis, or AS. That condition affects the spine and the large joints.
Oh my God, sounds awful.
It does sound awful, but what a long career and a wonderful thing. And you got to retire at some point. I mean, how long can you be a heavy metal rocker?
But he's only, what did you say, he's 70?
I didn't have the age. Is he 70?
Oh, I don't know.
Let's
I just think that, look at the Stones, look at McCartney, look at Ringo Starr. I mean, they're still going. So I don't know. Still
rocking.
But there's a randomness to all of that. By the way, I don't know if this is right, but we'll follow up on this. Several schools on lockdown in Santa Cruz, according to reports out of Monterey's KSBW TV.
Oh, okay.
We'll follow up on that, and we'll let you know more as it happens. Sorry, just wanted to. I saw it in the chat from Gary.
No,
Thank you.
that's really good. Thank you. And
Yeah.
you know that's beautiful about this is that we can, because of that chat room, we can get up to the minute reporting like this. And just looking right now at Cron 4, that is indeed the case where we've got heavy law enforcement around Santa Cruz High School amid active shooter reports. This a report from Cron 4. They're following tweets from Caltrans talking about heavy law enforcement presence in the area of Santa Cruz High School. That's at Highway 1 and Walnut Avenue. And so they're trying to figure out what's going on there. Unconfirmed active shooter reports there near Santa Cruz High School. So we'll keep following that and make sure that we stay abreast of the situation. At this point, no confirmation on that yet. This report sponsored by tax attorney Steve Moskowitz. For more than 30 years, Steve put his tax knowledge to work for individuals and businesses alike. If you need help with your taxes, give Steve a call, 888-TAX-DEAL, or catch him on the web, moslp.com. I'm Kim McAllister on The Mark Thompson Show.
They had to close down an entire radio station to silence him. And now, he's here. Ladies and gentlemen, Mark Thompson. The Mark Thompson Show.
Who's Mark Thompson?
Hey, which one of you is Mark Thompson?
What he's got going here is a situation.
It's unbelievably offensive.
Put up your pants, my man. Pull up those pants.
Ralph Nader just sent me a book. Did he send you one too?
I offer this sincere apology to you today.
Calling me a liar. Now what you calling me?
You, sir, are a liar.
You are a cover-up artist, and you are a liar.
Liar, liar, your pants are on fire!
Google told me.
Can you let him finish, sir? It was
Welcome.
wrong, it was stupid, and I'm trying to be a better person.
Welcome back, everybody. It is great to, when I say welcome back, we've been back, but you know what I'm saying. Welcome back to the conversation, the ongoing 2-hour conversation that we have every day from 10 until noon here on, this great platform, YouTube, which is educating me every day in terms of what I can say, what I can't say, what I can use, what I can't use. And the guy who knows all of this is standing by in the green room. But I wanted to, do I have some acknowledgments here, Executive Producer John Daly? Don't I?
We do. Would you mind if I popped in really quickly before we do that?
Of course.
I just want you just talked about that potential shooter case near Santa Cruz High School. And the report from KSBW would indicate that it's possibly a case of swatting. And so what they're saying is that it's possible that multiple schools received a call from the same person. All students are safe. And at Santa Cruz High, they say they're following safety protocols. No students injured, no students taken to the hospital. So Santa Cruz police and sheriff's deputies still at Santa Cruz High School. But again, they think that this whole thing could be a hoax. So just wanted to follow up with that.
Good.
Thank you.
Good. Well, we're on that. Let's hope it is a hoax, although that's still, effed up. But
Kim, how are you?
There you go. Thank you. That's Kim's on that. Kyle O'Keefe hitting us with $20. Thank you, Kyle.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. Check out James Buchanan with $4.99. What up, James Buchanan? Thank you for that. Very cool. You can hit us with super stickers. You can also hit us in the super chat. As you know, if you hit us with a super chat, I will read the chat. It's 100% of the time. If you hit us with a super chat, we'll read your comment.
100% effective. How about that?
So you should hit that. And of course, smash the like button because you need to.
With your iron rod.
With your iron rod or with your thumb. We need the thumbs up because in the YouTube algorithm, if you have so many people watching and you have so many people liking, it's a good thing. If you have people watching, not enough people liking on each video, you've got to hit the thumbs up. So thank you for that as well. All right, without any further delay, he's been in the green room hanging out in the celebrity green room, which is probably at his house. He's the great one. You know him from JeffersonGraham.com. That's his parent website, and he is Jefferson Graham. Hi, Jefferson Graham.
How you doing?
You had talked about putting this show online before we were
3 weeks ago?
Yeah.
3 weeks ago?
When we were still on KGO, you talked about that. By the way, the KGO and Exile t-shirts are on sale at getmarkmerch.com. You can support the show and you can live the rebellion, my friends. That's right. But you had talked about it, Jeff, and I said, I don't know. Is there a way you could come by, maybe show me how it worked? I mean, that, as it turns out, was where we were headed. We just didn't even realize it.
I can't believe you put this together in such a short period of time. I mean, what is it, 4 weeks ago? You were going to D.C. When were you going to D.C.?
Yeah, I guess that was about a month ago, right? Yeah.
Yeah, and then here you are, and you've got guests here, and you've got Super Chat already. Yeah. I mean, you need 10,000 subscribers to get the Super Chat, so you already hit the magic number?
Well, this is really, I'm so glad you mentioned this, because this involves everybody who's watching right now and everybody who supports us on an ongoing basis. We wouldn't be able to pull this all together were it not for the support of the audience. And that seems like one of those things that people say, but it's really true here. This is a community of people, and the reason that I wanted to move over so quickly is because I didn't want to lose that community. Things change so quickly in this life. KGO goes dark, and that audience begins to scatter. And they began to scatter already, and they still, people are even suggesting, why don't you advertise on KGO? KGO's gone. There is no KGO anymore. They've turned it into a gambling station, which is their right to do. I'm not, they own the station. They can do whatever they want with it. But what I'm saying is, the only way we could reconstitute it was to do it quickly. So, to your point, we brought this community over, and we felt we had to do it quickly. So, Tony's been really instrumental, our tech guy, and he's been so helpful. John Daly and I have both been working overtime. Kim's been working overtime as well, and her husband has been throwing in. He's a kind of a techie. So it's been a real, it takes a village type thing situation. So that's how it happened so quickly.
But to do some of the perks that you're talking about, you need to have a minimum of 10,000 subscribers and like 4,000 hours of watch time and all this crazy stuff. But you hit it already in just a few weeks.
Yeah, it's very exciting, and we need to grow it more. We need to pay salaries for everybody on the show. I'm not taking any money on the show right now because we're trying to just keep John and Tony and Kim. I'm trying to keep everybody in the economic ecosphere happy and living with a livelihood that sustains them. So we need to continue to expand it. That's why we come up with the merch stuff. So we're always thinking and working, and we have to always sort of be. For me, I've never worked so hard. It's a real life project.
This is great, but you're learning something new every day. You're learning. I mean, when you started in broadcasting, the idea of doing what you're doing right now, it would just like be totally foreign. Hey, kids, let's put on a show, and I'll just go do it, and I'll do it, and people will come in via the internet. I mean, it was unheard of. You couldn't even imagine anything like this, right?
Sure, that's exactly right. In fact, when they go ahead, Kim.
Would I rather work for Cumulus or would I rather work for Mark Thompson? I'm going Mark Thompson.
There you go. Thank you very much. I mean, it's a...
Don't talk to me that way.
Well,
for legal reasons, I can't say a single negative thing about Cumulus Media.
Right. I don't think you should speak to about Cumulus that way. I don't know right. No, look, sadly, and I made this point before, and it'll probably be made again, the local administrators, managers at KGO, they didn't want the station to go away. They didn't, and they were great to me. They never told me anything I couldn't say or do. I mean, think about that. I was there, how long were we on the air? 3.5 years, John?
Something like that, yeah.
Never, imagine that, Jeff. Not one thing. Like, hey, a little fewer drops, or maybe do more politics, or a little less politics. Never. And that's really cool.
They did tell me what I couldn't say at USA Today when I was there. So there.
Is that right? They did. Yeah, you were the tech writer at USA Today for a long time.
For multiple decades, yes. And a few times they told me about what I could say and what I couldn't say. So.
Wow, that's pretty. Could you even hint?
I will tell you.
Yeah,
when I did
hint
my
at what
podcast,
yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
I did my podcast every day, and it was a daily show, 7 days a week. Imagine that. And they said, well, we want to know what your topics are in ahead of time. And I said, I have no idea until the night before. And they said, well, you need to tell us. And I said, yeah, right. Okay, fine. Yeah, I just never told them because I didn't know. I recorded it every night at 9:00. But in general, they did have a few no-nos and a few, but they were pretty good to me. But
yeah, I mean, sometimes the no-nos are fine. And by the way, I'm not above taking notes on my show. It's not like I think everything I do is, and sometimes I'll do something and I'll go, that didn't really work the way I'd hoped it would or whatever. Usually I'm pretty honest with the audience. I'll say, yeah, we tried that, but it didn't really work out that well. But I respected them for not meddling too much because it's very hard to germinate anything if you're being meddled with all the time. So
but they didn't call you every week or every month and say, let's go over the numbers and let's grow those numbers. And why aren't they growing the way they should be and all that sort of stuff that station managers like to ask?
They actually sent us regular ratings reports, and our ratings weren't bad. We first of all, our ratings soared initially, and then continued tracking up, and we'd get those mailings, right, John? Isn't that what and Kim, you got them also?
Yeah.
And so the reality was that they were pretty communicative, but not in the way that you're suggesting, which is, let's look at these numbers and let's look at how we can get more women 50 plus or whatever. They break down the demographics and then they start to manage content based on the demographic they want to hit. That's would be typically what Jefferson's talking about.
But the person sharing that information with us was not in the loop on this transaction.
Right.
But you were the one chosen to make the announcement about historic KGO no longer being KGO. You of all people got to break the news.
But it wasn't even breaking the news. I don't know if it was so effed up because and I won't bore you with the story, but just in like 60 seconds or less, I'll just tell you that they told me right before I went on. I didn't know the night before. I didn't know, right before I went on. And the two top guys called me.
5 minutes till 9?
Yeah.
5
but when the
minutes till
two,
9?
to 10. But when the two top guys call me, I know something bad's going to happen. I said, uh-oh, this is bad. That was my first thing I said. And they said, yeah, it's not a good day. I'm afraid today. And then they said, yeah, I can't now. Something to the effect that we're going to have to.
Dead.
KGO is going away. Something like that.
Can I just give you a flip? I would just want to give you a flip positive story. So when I was at USA Day, the top editor sent me an email and said, are you available to chat? I want to talk to you. And I said, oh boy, I am screwed. This is terrible. And I started sending notes around, why does he want to talk to me? And my editor said, I have no idea. So then he calls me and he says, you're there? Are you sitting down? And I said, yeah, I'm sitting down. Go for it. He goes, I want to give you a bonus. You're doing such a great job. So
that never happened.
I was shocked.
At KGO.
I know. Never happened.
Yeah. Bonus was not allowed to even be mentioned.
We had a bit of a tip off the night before because they sent out a mass email to everybody at the end of business saying that there was a budget meeting, and we've never been involved in budgets, so some of us kind of figured it out the night before.
Yeah, we knew. John mentioned that to me the night before, and we knew something bad was gonna. We thought something bad, but then they'd already cut so many people. We didn't know how they were going to make any additional.
And we had
cuts.
said that morning, yeah, let's book this person if KGO exists past lunchtime.
We were doing some graveyard humor like that. Yeah. It was gallows humor for sure.
So who did you have to call and say, we're not putting you on the air because there is no show?
Unfortunately, I couldn't even reach people because they locked me out of my corporate email. So I couldn't cancel future guests.
But this is a good question. This is a good little this is a good guest trivia question. This is a good trivia question for this show. Who had to be contacted on the last day to let them know the station wasn't on the air anymore? Does anybody remember?
Vincent Patterson was originally scheduled for 10:30.
That's right. It was Vincent Patterson. That's right. Vincent Patterson wrote a book called Icons and Instincts, and it's terrific. And we had him on, Jeff, in one of the first shows we did after the radio station went away. He's got stories of, he's a choreographer for Michael Jackson, for Madonna, for Van Halen, and it goes on and on and on for the biggest names. Diana Ross.
You made the announcement on Thursday morning, right? So Wednesday, in the 11:30 to 12 o'clock hour, who was your last final guest on KGO?
Oh, that is a great question too. Who is the last guest that we spoke with on KGO? I feel like John and myself, and maybe Kim, you would note this. I think this is a knowable thing. Let's just think for a moment. The last
It would have been
on
Wednesday, right? Who are our Wednesday regulars?
Right, that's what I'm trying to think. Wednesday is Jeremy B. White usually, but he's in the first hour.
But there are no regulars in the 11:30 segment.
There are no regulars, but
I gave the last newscast on KGO.
no, Belinda's Thursday.
Yeah,
Belinda's Thursday.
But in generally speaking, there are no regulars.
We had to call Belinda too. Vincent and Belinda both on Thursday. I don't know, John. Do you know the answer?
I don't think we had a guest at 11:30.
We may not have had a guest.
Well, then you had a guest between 11 and 11:30.
Yeah. The last guest on KGO is the good question. That would have to have been Jeremy B. White, maybe, if Jeremy was there. Anyway, this is interesting. Maybe one of the audience knows. If one of the audience knows, I'll feel we should send them from the Get Mark merch site, maybe a KGO and Exile t-shirt. If you remember the last guest on my show, it would be, as Jefferson says, the Wednesday before the Dark Thursday. Let us know.
Dark Thursday.
Yeah. But I do. I want to be clear about something, Jeff. They didn't want me to announce anything. They just had me do my regular show, and I pleaded with them. I said, I really did. I took 2 different runs at them. I think you'll appreciate it. I said, hey, look, station has been in this community for so long. I think we owe them just a goodbye to say the station's going away. Even I can keep it simple. I'll keep it short. They said, well, we understand that. We've thought about this, but we think that we're going to get a lot of blowback anyway. Let's just end, let's just end it this way. Do it the way we discussed it, which is you do your regular show, you'd hit the ID, and you're done. And then I said this, let me do it with a goodbye and explain what's going on, and I'll spin it positively. I'll say there's an exciting new format coming to KGO. I mean, I'm thinking in the moment, like any way I can let the audience know what's happening, because it's going to be weird, man. They told me to do 9 minutes of my show, hit a KGO San Francisco, a Cumulus station, and then I just turn my microphone off, and that's the end of it. And that's what they wanted. And so I tried that, and they said, no, we understand. And they're worried about, somebody going rogue, clearly. And the corporation, the company, really wanted it done that way. So you have no...
Well, you have the guy at Channel 5, KTLA in Los Angeles, who went rogue when he apologized on behalf of the managers for not letting an anchor who quit to come on and say goodbye. And his mouth went overtime, and he got fired, and he'll probably never work in TV again. And they thought, not saying that you were going to do that, but you could have done that, and you could have gone berserk in front of the microphone, right?
No, and it wouldn't be the first time, as you say. So I also understand it from their perspective. I know that's a weird thing to say, but I really, if they look around, as Jeff says, at the different situations where people have been, I'll tell you one other one. My friend was the stage manager, guy I went to school with, at WLS-TV in Chicago. They're a huge station, ABC station at WLS. And the weather guy was a guy named Steve Deschler, And Steve Deschler had an offer to do the CBS morning news. He was going to go do network news at CBS, but he was under contract at WLS, the ABC-owned station in Chicago. And they wouldn't let him out of his contract to go do CBS This Morning, whatever they were calling it then, Good Morning at CBS or whatever. They changed the name of that show all the time on CBS. So it was obviously lucrative, and he wanted that network thing. It's the brass ring type deal. And he'd had multiple conversations with management, as had his representatives, and they would not let him out of his contract with WLS. So on the 11 o'clock news, he goes on, tossed to weather. Well, it's another chilly night, in Chicagoland, and, let's check out temperatures. And he's now standing in front of the map after he crosses on that little wrap. And he begins to say this. I've been given an offer to go to the CBS television network to do the CBS morning news, and WLS management will not let me out of my contract. And I've gone to them repeatedly. He essentially explains it, but he has about 30 seconds to do it before they just go to black and go to commercial, okay? And my pal is running the floor. He's the floor manager, which is why I know this story. And he walked over to him, and as Steve was continuing to talk, and he just leaned over and he said, Steve, we're in commercial now. And they ultimately did let him go to CBS after that rant on the air. But what you're talking about, which is that somebody goes rogue like that, or like the example you gave of that guy just happened a couple of months ago, not even 2 months ago in Los Angeles, I guess that's the thing that management worries about. So they give, very specific orders to someone like me, just do it this way and don't tell the audience anything, even though that makes me sick to go out that way.
But could the headlines have been any worse? Had you gone rogue? Had you called them all sorts of names? Had it could been... I mean, it's not like they get any positive press out of what they did.
No, but I think they think of it this way, and there's no way to know ahead of time. They think we're going to take blowback anyway because we're taking away a beloved station. So just take it without explanation, without farewell. You don't have to worry about going rogue. You don't have to worry about your host going on some jihad on the air. You just get off the air and the audience wonders what happened, and you're going to get that blowback anyway, as I say. I think that's the way they did the arithmetic.
There are a lot of lawyers in Atlanta.
Yeah, I do think it came from on high. It definitely came from on high. So,
yeah.
But anyway, this audience, those who know, there are a lot. Yeah, I was going to say, a lot of people don't know that we're over here. I mean, they just, we just dropped them off at the curb, and they don't know when the next bus is coming. Oh, it doesn't run through here anymore. No, it's you got to catch a different bus. It's blocks away. So
you're in a better place. You're in the future, and we just have to do a better job of letting everybody know where the show is.
Thank you. That's so true. Jeff at jeffersongraham.com. You can get links to all of his stuff. You're going to overseas? Are you going to shoot some stuff over there?
I am. I'm going to Paris on Sunday. I'm going to do 4 episodes in France. I have a travel photography series on YouTube, and I'm going to show you some of the best places to photograph in the City of Lights, weather permitting. But if the weather's bad, I'll just shoot in the rain. What do I care? The iPhone is water resistant and does amazing stuff in the rain and in bright light as well. So I'm really looking forward to going. And so look for those episodes actually in December, because they'll premiere, I think, December 2nd or 3rd.
It's funny, you on your PhotoWalks site, you asked those who are visitors to the site and subscribers to PhotoWalks and beyond, you asked them, and just to anybody who visited this site, as I say, you asked them for their opinion as to what you should take to Paris on this trip, on this photo trip. So what did you decide upon?
Well, no, I asked, should I take my laptop or not? What do you think? Can you go away for 2 weeks without your laptop? Because I don't want to take it. It's heavy. I've got enough stuff to carry around with me. It's a $2,000 machine. I don't want to have to worry about losing it. And what do you think? Could you go 2 weeks without the computer? And I'd say pretty much 60% said leave it at home. Get an iPad. Get one of those new iPads like Mark has. That's what they said. Yeah,
I did get the new iPad.
Yeah. And be sure to get
I got
one
this
with
new
a keyboard.
iPad. Right, and you can stream on these things too. The one thing you can do on your laptop, which I don't know if that you can do as effectively or as comfortably on that, the iPad, is the editing that you need to do.
Right, but I don't need to edit the videos.
Jefferson, I did my round-the-world trip in 9 months with only my iPhone.
Yeah, and
fabulous producer, John Daly.
Mm-hmm. So what I'm bringing in my mobile photography bag, I'm bringing 6 cameras. 6 of them. I've got 2 little Insta360s, and I don't have a GoPro on my desk here. I've got 3 iPhones, actually 2 iPhones, and then 2 GoPros. So that's what I'm bringing with me.
Now tell me why you go with 6, and tell me please if you recommend. You go ahead. Yeah, why 6?
Okay, I own them. I already have them. So I have 2 Insta360 cameras. This is my favorite travel camera because there's a lens on this side and a lens on this side, and it's looking.
Hold that closer. Hold that. I want to see that, please, Tony. Can you make? Let me just see that. No, that one. There you go. That's an Insta360.
Yes, a lens on both sides. See that?
This you've talked about on this show before. That
Right.
thing you've talked about on this show before.
And it goes forward and backwards. And in post-production, when I'm editing on my computer, I can choose the shot, and I usually shoot both shots. So I did a series on the cable cars in San Francisco, looking forward, and then I'm dangling from the cable car, taking pictures at the same time. So I have two of these. So when one runs out of battery, I just reach in and pick up the other one because I already own them.
See.
Okay. Then the iPhones, I have several of them. I'm talking to you on an iPhone right now. Boom. That's an iPhone as my webcam, but it will be in the bag. So I like to use them. One is my main video camera when I'm in Paris, and then the other one to shoot time lapses, to be ready for time lapse videos, which is when the world goes flying by really fast. And
So you shoot the time lapse. You shoot the time lapse in the iPhone time lapse setting. Okay.
Yeah, in a tripod. In a tripod, you just press record and let it run, and then I can use the other phone to take pictures. Chris,
How long will that time lapse run?
It depends on how long I run it. If I run it for an hour, I might get a minute. If I run it for 30 minutes, I might get half a minute.
Can you run it for 2 hours?
Sure, you can run it all night long.
You can run it for as long as you want.
Yes.
Why don't you just text it?
On the text line in YouTube, you can join the chat. We're talking to Jefferson Graham, PhotoWalks, a tech expert, and he's about to head to France. And he's going to take the
Chris has a question.
About the guitar. What guitar is that?
ES125, a Gibson ES125. Thank you for asking. I've had it for many years. And then Lisa says she's a fan of the show. So you know what that means? That means I'm a fan of Lisa.
It's JeffersonGraham.com. Yeah, he knows. He knows.
Yeah.
Smash the like button for Jefferson Graham.
Smash it with your iron rod.
With your iron rod, give it the thumbs up. The great Jefferson Graham. We love it when you visit. We'll see you when you come home.
Well, let's do it more frequently now that we can be online. And right? Hey,
yeah. Oh, this is one of Jeff's photo walks. Take a look. This is the cable car thing that he does. Yeah.
Yeah.
Really, really cool. Those who are watching, you can see it.
Personal best. It was my personal best, I think.
Really cool. I mean, I love those POV things.
That's the 360 footage from the front of the cable car.
Going toward the Transamerica building in the distance, and it's.
And there I am, the back of the camera.
Jefferson Graham, host of PhotoWalksTV.com. And the YouTube series also exists in so many other platforms. JeffersonGraham.com is where you can find all of it. Jefferson Graham, everybody. What do you think? Yes. Thanks, Jeff. Have a great trip.
Thanks,
Safe
John.
trip.
Thanks, Lisa.
Okay,
Thanks, Kim.
Yeah.
Bye.
Cool. Kim, how are you?
Yeah, Kim, how
Safe
are you?
travel-
Fabulous
safe
producer
travels.
John Daly. And Tony.
Thanks, Tony.
Nice job on all of that. In the next hour. What's coming up in the next hour, executive producer John Daly?
That's a good question. We could follow what's in the rundown, or we could not.
Well, in the rundown, first of all, I need to get back to politics and that tip I have for Democrats. I think they're missing the boat on something, so I'll share that with you. Also, we have some law and disorder, some pretty serious, wild stories on law and disorder as well.
We also know the last guest that you had on Wednesday.
Belinda Weymouth, I was about to get to it. Belinda Weymouth on Thursdays joins us with It's the Planet Stupid and shocking new data that you need to hear. So all of that still to come. Don't forget to show us love, hit the like button, and keep us in business by coming to our Patreon page as well, which is at themarkthompsonshow.com.
The Mark Thompson Show.
On the Mark Thompson Show, I'm Kim McAllister. This is sponsored by attorney Steve Moskowitz at 888 Tax Deal. Again, we have been following reports of an active shooter situation near Santa Cruz High School, but school officials say no, they believe the calls reporting gunfire near the campus were all a hoax. Santa Cruz High administrator saying this morning multiple schools received a call from the same person that all students are safe. The school was placed on lockdown along with Mission Hills Middle School, Bayview Elementary School, and 7 other schools in that school district are in a shelter-in-place order. At this hour, the Santa Cruz County Sheriff's Office is holding a press conference. We'll let you know if they have any information that we should impart to you. 2 Democratic senators want the Fed to stop raising interest rates. Colorado's John Hickenlooper and Ohio's Sherrod Brown think the plan by the Fed to keep raising rates to fight soaring inflation will hurt the economy. In a letter, Hickenlooper claimed the Fed is doing too much too soon, needs to push the pause button on interest rates. Elon Musk is explaining why he is buying Twitter. He says he's doing it to help humanity. Yes, specifically, he says we must have a common digital town square where many beliefs can be discussed. A new study says diversity in TV casting is increasing with more lead roles for women. That according to this year's Hollywood Diversity Report from UCLA, the study finding there's been an increase in diversity since the 2019-2020 season. The CEO of Amazon is being accused of violating federal labor laws, the National Labor Relations Board making the accusation this week in regards to comments made by Andy Jassy in the media about unions. Speaking to CNBC earlier this year, he warned about less empowerment for workers if they formed a union. And the closing of a self-driving vehicle technology company led to a large third-quarter loss at Ford Motor Company, the automaker losing $827 million and noting that Argo AI, which was trying to develop fully autonomous vehicles, will be closed down. Officials say that technology needs more time to develop. This report sponsored by tax attorney Steve Moskowitz. For more than 30 years, Steve has put his tax knowledge to work for individuals and businesses alike. So if you need help with your taxes, give Steve a call. So you see my voice goes. I'm so verklempt over Steve. 888-TAX-DEAL. Watch him on the web. MoskowitzLLP.com. I'm Kim McAllister on The Mark Thompson Show.
They had to close down an entire radio station to silence him. And now, he's here. Ladies and gentlemen, Mark Thompson. Do you feel it? It's the Mark Thompson Show.
This is Mark Thompson.
Feels great, baby.
It's unbelievably offensive. Ralph Nader just sent me a book. Did he send you one too?
What he's got going here is a situation.
Put up your pants, my man. Pull up those pants.
You cannot say you love your country.
Let me kick down the door and talk to my stupid sons and daughters.
Don't make us beg. Subscribe, like, and share. The Mark Thompson Show.
We got to the bottom of what we were asking about, and thank you to fabulous producer John Daly, who did suss out, in effect, what the last full show on KGO was on a Wednesday. The Thursday was the day we went dark.
But it wasn't your last show because Kim was filling in.
That's right. Was that right?
Yeah. So I have your last guest and I have her last guest.
Oh, because I was off on the Wednesday? What happened?
You had an appointment, a doctor's appointment.
Oh, I think that was from my neck. Yeah, I had a appointment with the. Oh, that was actually really funny. Now I'm remembering that and then I'm going to get the acknowledgments. I know. Blue Spark, thank you. Shout out and a big thank you to Blue Spark for a $10 donation. Is that a super chat or is that a super sticker? Really appreciate it. $4.99 from Elwin again. Much. Elwin's a regular, and thank you for the regular contributions. Ellen Anders for $5.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. Thank you, guys. Love it. Love it, love it, love it. You can give us super stickers at the bottom of the chat. You can get your super chat in. I'll always read your super chat comment regardless of what it is. And
Can you do the $5 like The Price is Right again? Could you?
Oh yeah,
$5.
$5 like a new car.
A new car.
Oh, yeah.
Or like a $5 footlong.
There you go.
I've auditioned for more voiceovers for Subway. I don't think I've ever gotten any.
Oh, I went to the Subway across the street from the studios and asked for the Mark Thompson. And you know what they said?
Who is Mark Thompson?
No, they said we have no idea what that is.
Yeah. Well, it was in the first year that I was at KGO. There was one guy there who really liked the show, the radio show. Number one. So I would get the sandwich there. I'd get a veggie footlong, and with the center hollowed out, extra veggies is the pro tip. But I think he didn't last there.
There's a lot of turnover.
Gave me too many veggies, right? I don't know. But I was going to tell you something about that Wednesday. Oh, I know what it was. That when I took that Wednesday off, because it was a neck thing, I just had that imaging for my neck. The doctor still hasn't called me back. I mean, it's crazy. But after we went off the air, I saw it on Twitter, I think in one of the...
there was a lot of conspiracy chat.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I can see now why Mark was taking some time off, and he must have known because he took off the week prior, and then he took that Wednesday off right before it went down. It was a doctor's appointment, and I went back to see my parents the week before. I hadn't taken, me, John, I don't take any time off.
But they're like, and Rothman was off. I'm like, yeah, it was Yom Kippur.
Yeah.
And they were like, Nikki took vacation. Nikki takes a lot of vacation.
Yeah. So it was wild to see that, But anyway, that Wednesday, I'd forgotten. I was away, so Kim was on.
I got to fill in for you.
Yeah, and so you went to... John says you talked to a visual forensics reporter at the Washington Post. Do you remember that conversation?
Oh, yeah.
Joyce
that was
Soyan
about...
Lee.
Yeah, we talked about what was going on in Iran, and because we can't trust the information coming from the country, she was looking at pictures and videos on social media and other places that she could piece together about what's actually in Iran with the protests. Thought it was a fantastic interview. If I don't say so myself.
No, it's fascinating, and I did hear a bit of it. I think I may have listened back to it on the
Now, Mark, can you
podcast.
guess who your last guest was? This would have been Tuesday.
Tuesday was... Well, the regular is David K. Johnston.
That's
did
it?
we have a... Is it David K. Johnston?
11,
David K.
And then we did last call. Oh, ironically, we did last call. That's the last segment we did.
We should have added KGO radio in last call. Oh my God, that's right. All of you should be in last call.
The list you don't want to be on.
My God, you're all walking wounded, soon to be walking dead. So, by the way, I've got some cool Halloween sweepers, but I haven't been able to produce them because we've had problems with we're cobbling together stuff in the studio and everything. Is Brett still on KCBS? I don't know. Yeah, I think he is.
Yeah, he's in the afternoons with Patty Rising.
Yeah, so that's
and
cool.
They sound
great.
Good.
Yeah.
We miss his voice too. I mean, it's really, you turn it on and it's comforting to hear him.
Yeah. So smash that like button.
Smash it with your iron rod.
I also want to mention I got this from Bay Area meteorologist Mike Peckner. A series of storms from the Gulf of Alaska with rain and snow all the way to L.A. will move through Northern California, followed by another front on the 6th. Heavy snow in the Sierra will probably end the fire season. If you want to talk about it, he gives me his number. Well, we may talk to him next week. But thank you for that, Mike. Mike used to be he was a producer at Cron for me for a while. Anyway, I want to do some law and disorder, but I also have my tip for Democrats, and I guess I don't know which one you want. You want my hot tip for Democrats, or do you want my law and disorder first? It's your choice, Kim.
I want the hot... Kim, sorry.
Yeah.
Oh.
Reclaim your time.
I'm going with law.
Kim, how are you?
I have the floor. I yield to no man. I'll take the law and disorder.
Okay, well, wait a minute. But I did hear that now I accidentally heard that fabulous producer John Daly wants the hot tip for Democrats.
Fabulous producer John Daly.
So, Tony, you have...
Okay.
He wants that. Tony, you in this case would have the deciding vote. It's not... We'll do both.
Oh, look, men making decisions for women.
Okay.
Thanks, Tony.
Tony, what would you like to hear first? My hot tip for Democrats or the law and disorder segment?
Let's do law and disorder.
All right. Okay. The tribe has spoken. All right. Yeah. We'll do some law and disorder.
In the criminal justice system, the people,
pimps, addicts, thieves, bums, winos, girls who can't keep an address, and men who don't care,
are represented by two separate yet equally important groups.
A cop, a flatfoot, a bull, a dick, John Law, you're the fuzz, the heat, you're poison, you're trouble, you're bad news.
These are their stories.
A woman was arrested for feeding homeless people in Arizona. And she's suing the city now in this bizarre case. They arrested Norma Thornton.
She was arrested for being kind?
Yeah. By the way, here's a question for you. Norma Thornton, the name kind of gives away the answer, but I'm going to ask you anyway. Do you think Norma Thornton, who feeds the homeless and feeds them in public, okay, she doesn't set up her own, okay, she's been arrested, how old would you say Norma is? That's my question. Norma, arrested. How old do you think Norma is? And I will award points if you get within a year of her actual age. All right. How old is Norma, who was arrested for feeding the homeless in Arizona? I ask you, Kim.
61.
Kim, how are you?
61, you say. Tony? What do you say?
Thanks, Tony.
With a name like Norma, 78.
78 is right. That's exactly right. He got the clue.
Was it Norma or Norma Jean?
Yes.
Thanks, Tony.
Yeah, so impressive. Tony.
Tony, what angered you?
So impressive. Norma and the rest of Americans really have to engage in charitable acts, says her attorney. That includes the right to sharing food. Her attorneys, a legal team from a pro bono law firm called the Institute of Justice, argue that the ordinance against feeding people in the park dates back to a time when people had their civil rights regularly violated. And they're saying this is a continued violation of those civil rights. Thank you to Lisa Howell Maniso. Support the show. How much do we have to donate to, what is it? Fund Mark's Cats? Is that what it says?
Fabulous producer John Daly or Mark's Cats.
Yeah.
Fabulous producer John Daly.
I did have a cat incident, which I'll refer back to in a moment, later this hour. It was pretty significant.
Well, if we're keeping it high protein, it's going to be a little more.
Anyway, the legal team from this pro bono Institute for Justice say, look, this violates her civil rights under the 14th Amendment, requires people to obtain a special one-time permit. She can't afford that permit, her attorney says, and to share a prepared meal, which she does at a food sharing event once a month, which is what is set aside as the prescribed plan, those are too few and far between. So they did drop her misdemeanor charge. They did, I guess, levy a fine of $750 and 4 months imprisonment, but then they've dropped that now. So, if you're the cop, because they did release a badge cam video of it that has to confront an elderly woman. She's 78 years old and she's feeding the homeless. I mean, really? I mean, that's, as a cop, you can't like that. You know what I mean? It's again, we ask law enforcement to do stuff that I think in general they don't
This is different than the birdseed lady.
Right. The birdseed lady box. Birdseed lady is crazy. I'm sorry to say it, but she was leaving not just a little, she's not some feeding little bits in the park. Those were remember the 15 to 30 pounds of birdseed in big piles that she would leave in the park. So Anyway, this is a bizarre case that has now been dismissed. A California boy disappeared in 2020. Police say that he was with a teacher the whole time. Yeah. The teacher has been arrested. She concealed the disappearance of a teenage boy for 2 years, according to the Sacramento County Sheriff's Office. They allege that the boy's family reported him missing. He's 15 years old. He's from the Rancho Cordova area. He got into an argument with family members, they say. He felt like the grass was greener, says his mom. And the family reported him missing in May of 2020. He remained missing until March of 2022. So that's an extraordinary length of time. Exactly. And on Thursday, the Sacramento County Sheriff's Office charged Olga Castillo Alvarez, 61, with concealing the boy. She's listed as a second-grade teacher. And the boy's family member says Alvarez is the mother of one of his friends. So he must have gone running to her, and she took him in. We felt so robbed of all this time with him, the mother said. You can't just hide someone's kid and think that that's okay. She's on leave, Alvarez, from the district until they work this all out. But it's a pretty... outrageous. Yeah, it is pretty outrageous. Kids get into fights with their family, and they run away. And there have to be better ways than just taking them in and hiding them for 2 years, you know. Oregon man, just a country kid, they say, found with an arsenal of guns, explosives, and drugs.
Well, as one does.
Yeah.
If you get it in order, you get extra points.
This is
guns,
Oregon, not Florida?
I know, it does feel very Florida. This is in Oregon. Oregon is the new Florida, many say. He was arrested for having guns after a domestic violence arrest. 30 guns he had, hundreds of rounds of ammunition, and multiple gun silencers. Also had explosives and fentanyl in his truck and home. So
What?
He had a lot going on there. Right.
Sounds like quite a keeper, yeah.
He was sentenced, found guilty and sentenced. What do you think they gave him? Anybody?
Guns, drugs, and what else?
Explosives.
Explosives.
Yeah.
I'm going to go...
Why does Kim drop out all the time?
I don't know.
Couldn't hear her again.
Yeah, Kim.
13 months.
13 months for over 30 guns, explosives, and drugs, and cops were summoned to a domestic violence situation. You think only 13 months. That doesn't seem like a very lengthy stay in the joint, does it?
It doesn't. I'm constantly shocked at what the little prison sentence is doled out for people that are up to no good.
No, you're right. You're right about that. Tony, do you want to double up on the big money with your perfect guess before?
Thanks, Tony.
You guessed the age right on. You want to go for how long this guy was sentenced to?
Just probation. Let's go all the way. Let's
go. Guys, found with an arsenal of guns, explosives.
I thought he was going to say 78 years.
I know, me too. And drugs. And he was there on a domestic violence charge.
Why are you yelling?
He got more than 8 years in federal prison. Come on, guys. Come on.
Finally.
Yeah. The wheels of justice spun the right way in that case.
Well, and he won't serve all that time.
That's true, too, probably. I'm going to pass on some of this other stuff, John. It's a little dark for me. I'm not feeling dark, you know. I will use this last story to offer this. A California woman charged with a benefits scam using Scott Peterson's name. A California woman charged with using the names of convicted killers, including Scott Peterson, to collect more than $145,000 in fraudulent unemployment benefits. This is part of a scam on unemployment, as you're aware, we talked a lot about this on the show.
I thought you were going to say she was dropping his name, like a name drop.
To get it? No, she used
because he has that reputation.
$20 billion, though, is the number on these scams that have hit the unemployment division of California. It's beyond scandalous. It's horrifying. And they shut down for 2 weeks, so they were just going to reboot, essentially. They need to really get their act together there. Brandy Iglesias made her initial court appearance on 10 charges, including grand theft, forgery, identity theft, and making false statements. So there you have it.
If you get it in order, you get extra points.
Grand theft, forgery, identity theft, and making false statements. The California Attorney General's office announced these charges as part of cracking down on all of that, which has become this insane defrauding of the unemployment division of California. That, my friends, is Law and Disorder for today.
Tune in again next time for more Law and Disorder on the Mark Thompson Show.
All right, that's it. Let's roll. Hey, let's be careful out there.
She claimed about 20 grand using Peterson's name, by the way, from the EDD. Yeah. I mean, you remember Scott Peterson murdered his pregnant wife and unborn child, dumped the bodies in San Francisco Bay. So, charming guy. And his name is still being used for EDD defrauding. Yeah.
He just got moved officially off of death row. Not that he was ever going to be killed, but they just moved him to the prison in Amador. So he's no longer at San Quentin.
Oh. I didn't know that.
Happened in the last couple of days.
All right, my tip.
I always got to keep up on where Peterson's going.
Well, no, I mean, that's what you're there for, to keep up on these breakers. So, all right, I got the
Mark Thompson Show.
I want to talk to Steve Moskowitz now, who is our original and exclusive sponsor. Steve, welcome back.
Thanks, Mark.
I loved our conversation last hour. If you missed it, you should check out. We kind of riffed a little bit on those opportunities that communities might have and that individuals have that don't even relate to what they might originally be going to a tax attorney for. And, Steve's been doing tax attorney work for over 3 decades. So he's here with us, and we're so happy to have him on the show. You want to talk ERC, or what do you? I feel as though that's a program
ERC,
that really offers people real money.
That's right, and it's so exciting because you're talking about real money, and there's an opportunity to get up to $26,000 for every employee you have that qualifies. What do you have to do to qualify? There's one of 2 ways. There's the easy way, a certain drop in gross revenue, but that's math. Either you made it or you didn't. But a lot of firms are stopping there and saying, if you don't meet that requirement, no ERC for you. Wrong. The law says there's 2 methods, and either or. The other method's far more complex. You have to figure things out. For example, in California, there was a restriction on all businesses that operate inside from the beginning of the pandemic until June 15th, 2021. You could only use 25% of the capacity. So even an essential business like a food store, like Safeway, could only use 25% of their store. That means there's a government-ordered 75% partial closure. There's a lot of other things too, supply chain disruptions and lots of other things. If you qualify, we'll tell you. Not everybody qualifies. If you don't, we'll tell you why, but a lot of people do qualify. So you want to watch out and not go to somebody that's just doing the one method. On the other hand, you want to avoid like the plague, one of these firms, especially the ones that just came into existence to do this and then they're going to disappear, that are committing out and out fraud and saying that everybody qualifies. You never want to do a fraud, obviously, on anything. And the IRS is investigating these. You want to avoid them like the plague too. So the bottom line is we're a law firm. We have over 30 years experience in tax. We want to help you and determine, are you qualified or not? And if you are, let's get every dollar to which you're legally entitled.
Yeah, and I think that as we were talking about last hour, there are a number of opportunities that may extend even beyond ERC, but you have to begin that conversation with Steve Moskowitz. 888-TAX-DEAL, 888-TAX-DEAL. Call him, and call him with many of these questions you have that may not relate to ERC, but I what I've learned in talking about ERC, we talk about it a lot because it's such a significant program. And as Steve always says, it's a grant. It's not a loan. You learn that, wow, many more people and many more businesses are eligible for a piece of that government money than you might think. So 888-TAX-DEAL, 888-TAX-DEAL, or find him online, Moskowitz LLP. He is the OG. He is Steve Moskowitz. Thanks, Steve.
Thanks, Mark.
Yeah, appreciate you being here. We do...
Why are you yelling?
Okay.
The Mark Thompson Show.
We do our shout-outs to people who are making contributions to us. We appreciate that. We'll do them right after Kim. And we'll also hit Belinda Weymouth's magic of information when it comes to the planet. I mean, there's a significant report. There's also a follow-up on plastics. And I have some thoughts on the state of, and I think that this is something we can all agree on, the state of the world essentially has parked, unfortunately, the commitment to the environment that many nations had stepped up and made, And this is what I said at the time, when economies falter and crises develop, what do countries do? They decide, hey, we're just trying to stay afloat here. That's why developed countries have a better shot at meeting climate goals than do underdeveloped countries, or emerging nations, as they now call them. But the other thing I would say is that, to be fair to those emerging nations, it's the developed countries that are really the culprits primarily in creating the climate crisis that we have. In any case, with the world beginning to list to one side with Ukraine and Russia and world economic inflation, you begin to see how climate gets nudged out of the picture and climate commitments get nudged out of the picture. So I'll speak to that with Belinda. I still haven't gotten to my Democrat thing. I'll do that as well, but we're running a little late for Kim's news.
It's a great tease.
I've been doing the tease for the whole show. Smash that like button.
Smash it with your iron rod.
Smash it with your iron rod, or you can use your finger to just hit the...
What fun is
or your
that?
cursor to hit the thumbs up. And we appreciate you watching and sharing the show in all the ways you do. So cool to have you here. Belinda Weymouth, it's The Planet Stupid next after Kim's news.
On the Mark Thompson Show, I'm Kim McAllister. This report's attorney Steve Moskowitz at 888-TAX-DEAL. More information about what appears to be a hoax where the same person, reported the shooter to multiple schools in Santa Cruz this morning. A social media post from the county of Santa Cruz reporting the County Office of Education said the caller
We've lost Kim.
Yeah, I didn't know what happened. Heard the... She drops out a lot.
I was trying to adjust her microphone volume.
Well, she did criticize Cumulus Media.
Oh, I see. You think that she was axed. It was a... wow. That's troubling. Well, I don't know what to say except for the fact that
I'm not
we
done.
love Kim. We hope to get her back.
Oh, she's
there
back.
She is.
Can you hear me?
Kim, we hear you now.
I'm sorry.
I don't know how the setup is really configured there in McAllister land, but
need to do better, apparently.
It is not working. So anyway, go now. Let's return.
Carry on.
To the great Kim.
Did you hear the triple-demic outbreak is of the flu, COVID, and the virus known as RSV all at the same time. So doctors say they were already worried about both flu and COVID surging into fall and winter. Now they're seeing an early rise in RSV cases among young children. It's a respiratory disease. A Wisconsin district attorney says there's satisfaction after a jury found Darrell Brooks Jr. guilty in a deadly parade attack last year. Susan Opper thanking the community and first responders for everything they did on the day he drove his SUV into a Christmas parade just outside Milwaukee. Russia's strategic deterrence forces are declaring a successful training exercise aimed at delivering a massive nuclear strike in response to a potential nuclear attack on their country. The Biden administration confirming Russia provided advance notice of the annual drills. NATO is carrying out its long-planned annual nuclear exercises in northwestern Europe. And Lebanon and Israel signing a deal brokered by the U.S. that ends a 7-decade dispute over gas-rich waters in the Mediterranean. The agreement, Lebanese president and the Israeli prime minister signed today, will allow international companies to begin exploring for natural gas in previously contested waters. Speaking of gas, Shell Oil is posting a profit of more than $9 billion for the third quarter. Shares in the company were up 2.5% after trading opened in London this morning. Shell also said today it plans to increase its dividend by 15% in the fourth quarter. And National Geographic is naming its 25 most breathtaking places in 2023, and San Francisco made the list. The cities were organized into 5 categories: family, adventure, culture, nature, and community. And San Francisco was named one of the best cities in the world for family travel, along with Switzerland, Colombia, Manchester, United Kingdom, and Trinidad. And so here is what they have to say about our city. And I want to share the screen with you so you can see some beautiful pictures while we discuss what they have to say about the city by the bay. They have to say that it is a water and sea, parks and beaches, history, and Carl the Fog. Yes, locals have named their most famous weather pattern. This 7-mile city wants its natural beauty proudly, while inviting visitors and locals to dive deeper into neighborhoods of hilly streets stacked with pastel-hued Victorian houses, Michelin star
Kim's
and
really
mom and
selling
pop
it.
restaurants, art and music galore, passionate denizens whose hearts are as big as the Golden Gate Bridge. Here's a little look at what we have here in San Francisco. Look how
Kim,
pretty.
how are you?
Very impressive.
Look at that. There
Kim
you
really
go.
read that descriptor with feeling.
San Franciscans are pretty cool.
Yeah.
Kim, how are you?
Yeah, very nice.
We love our city. So pretty. This report
It is beautiful. I
sponsored
mean,
by
it's
tax
beautiful.
attorney
And from
Steve
that distance, you
Moskowitz.
can't see the poop on the street.
You can't see the homeless people. There's no garbage. Everything looks pretty good. Don't worry about your car getting broken into. It's all right. This report
That's a different flyer, the one they send out.
That's not on the list. This
Yeah.
report sponsored by tax attorney Steve Moskowitz. With 30 years, Steve has put his tax knowledge to work for individuals and businesses alike. If you need help with your taxes, give Steve a call, 888-TAX-DEAL, or you can reach him on the web at moskowitzllp.com. I'm Kim McAllister on The Mark Thompson Show.
They had to close down an entire radio station to silence him. And now, he's here. Ladies and gentlemen, Mark Thompson. The Mark Thompson Show.
Who's Mark Thompson?
It is a delight.
You cannot say you love your country.
to be
Morning.
here.
Where are my weed smokers at?
And I also want to know what happened to the pictures I was supposed to see this week. You know, they do this to me all the time. I don't know what the hell they do it for.
It was great. I loved it.
Let me get some shout-outs in. Come on. We want to thank everybody for joining us on this YouTube stream. It really is the coolest way to join. Okay, can we... Thank you. Because we have a chance to interact with you in ways that we didn't before, and you have a chance to interact with each other. I think it's a great community building here. I mentioned the latest addition to the Get Mark merch site is the KGO in Exile Rebellion t-shirt. Wear the rebellion, my friends. Wear it and support the show at the same time. KGO in Exile is the t-shirt. You can get all of it, the merch, at getmarkmerch.com. KGO and Exile t-shirts in black and also in white. So whatever you're feeling. Thank you for getting that up on the screen. Tony, very cool.
Thanks, Tony.
We do have Kim, you heard, fabulous producer
Fabulous
John Daly,
producer John
and
Daly.
Joan Quigley. Y'all make my day. Thank you, Joan. $50. Come on with a super sticker. Shout out to Joan. Also, Jerry for $20 in the super chat. Hi, Mark. Listen to KGO 55. Somebody read that. I can't read it. Somebody read it.
55 years, my school of knowledge. You all were my teachers. Sad to see talk radio go. Just another change in my later life. That, again, doesn't make much sense. A world of misinformation. Heart emoji.
No, it's true, Jerry.
Thanks, Jerry.
Well said. Jerry, thank you, first of all. And I echo your thoughts, about how difficult it is. $20 super sticker from RI. Shout out, RI.
RL.
I can't see the damn screen. Get me some decent screens in here. What's going on? I don't understand it.
Why are you yelling all the time?
They do it to me all the time. They want me to read it, and then they just put it up there, and they say, well, how can't you can't read it?
Why are you yelling? Why are you yelling?
All right. Gail, I see her first name. What's her last name?
Guthrie.
1999. Shout out to Gail. Shout out to 40415 Steve for $9.99. Shout out, Steve. Karen Cooper. Thank you, Karen. A penny for every year I listen to Station X. $5.40. There you are.
Big shout out.
Yes. Big shout out to all of you. Adam for $4.99 with a super sticker. Thank you, Adam.
Thank you so much.
Mm-hmm. John Schneider, he is one of the great supporters in every way. Thank you, John Schneider.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, super sticker from John Schneider. Right on. Thank you for your support. Click the heart button to contribute now. If you are watching on the playback, there'll be a heart with a $sign. You can contribute that way and support the show and keep it on the air so we can keep Kim, we can keep John, and we can keep Tony in the lifestyles to which they become accustomed. Nick, those millennial glasses aren't working out. You don't like the glasses? Yeah, they're not working out for me to see things. You're right about that. I don't know what I can see with these glasses. Mike Garcia, time for some Mark Thompson reading glasses. How dare you, Mike? That's Oklahoma Mike. Mike listens on the stream in Oklahoma. He's always listened on the stream, even when we were a radio station, KGO. Now he can join us on YouTube. How dare he step out of line by suggesting that my aging eyes might need reading glasses. But I will take a meeting on it. Thank you. On Thursdays, we are joined by someone who is the eco news creator, environmental journalist. She joins us for a segment we call It's the Planet Stupid, and I don't have the production element ready, so we'll just join her. At least she doesn't have to sit through an intro. We'll just get right to her. Belinda Weymouth, everybody.
Good morning. How is everyone?
Thank you, Linda, for the $10. We saw it. Shout out. Yeah, right on. Sorry, this is the new world, Kim. Belinda, where I get told of a contribution, and I have to interrupt whatever I'm doing to acknowledge. Because
I think it's good to acknowledge all the people who love you, who love us. I think it's great.
Yeah,
thank you.
It's important. So thank you, Belinda, for pointing that out. So, Sayo Jones says, Belinda is on the air. Yeah. All right. So Belinda, I wish the news was better. I was making the point before that as world economies begin to struggle, to put it politely, there are really some in free fall. Environmental concerns and commitments to climate sort of get nudged off to the side. Meantime, the revelations about where we sit in the way of climate, they continue to come forward on everything from, the temperature of the planet to the plastics that infest pretty much every cell of everything we interact with. I'm talking about even the air.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. Hey, I just want to say something because I got sent a New York Times article last night from a friend as she was going to sleep with, help written, beside it. And it was talking about, yes, we're going in the wrong direction as cutting, as far as cutting emissions go. But, there was a story at the same time out from the IEA, the International Energy Agency, saying, look, Russia's invasion of the Ukraine and Europe's, and not just Europe, we were getting natural gas from, or oil from Russia as well. This invasion has really pushed the green revolution, and everybody knowing that we can't rely on oil and gas, and we have to switch to renewables. The fact that the price of electricity generated, new electricity generation, is cheaper from renewables than from any other source. And what the IEA is saying is that based on current policy, so this is my rebuttal to the bad news, is that what's going to happen is the global use of coal is expected to start really declining in the next few years. Natural gas demand will hit a plateau by the end of this decade, and oil use is projected to level off by the mid-2030s. Now, those numbers don't excite me as, that much, because I wish it was tomorrow, obviously, like we all do. But the fact is, this war in Ukraine is just really highlighting we cannot rely on fossil fuels anymore. They're dangerous, to the planet, and this reliance is dangerous. And we have to get self-reliant, as far as producing our own energy goes. And so, the growth in renewables is on the way up, Germany, all these different countries in Europe, which brings me to the plastic thing, because it was like what we were talking about last week, we can't, plastic is having a bad effect on our health, and it's having a really bad effect, on the planet, and also on, what's happening with climate change. And, one of the things I think that's, and this thing about, we have to only produce, domestically what we can deal with and recycle or, dispose of domestically. We can't rely on other countries like we used to rely on China taking all of our plastics. And, you sent me that article this week from the Daily Mirror, in the UK, just talking about what a complete fallacy recycling is. And one of the reasons why we're all recycling our butts off is because we're hearing all these stories about what's happening to the ocean, and that the ocean is full of these microplastics. So there we are, recycling like crazy. But the fact is we're throwing too many different types of plastic into the recycling bin, in our bid to help the planet.
Right. But the reason we're not getting recycling done is not because of any error on our part. It's because the infrastructure for recycling just doesn't exist.
Yeah, I mean, this is the thing. And it's also the thing that I often talk about, is that the producers want to make it, our responsibility, and they want to make us believe that we can actually recycle this, deluge of plastic, but we can't. And, one of the things I wanted to talk about, and I tweeted it, was, the plastic in the ocean, it's at an insane level. And what people need to know, because, I believe that the more information and the more informed you are, the better decisions you're going to make about, what you use. Am I going to buy stuff in a plastic bottle, or when I go to the supermarket, am I really going to make an effort to buy stuff in a glass bottle? And glass is 100% recyclable. So yes, always, always, always buy glass. So what the hypothesis
I want to make one other point just on that, because I do the same. First of all, it's very hard to sometimes find glass bottles because they're edged off of most shelves by all these plastic bottles. But the thing I want to tell those who watch this show is that plastic, and this is a point Belinda made last week, that plastic is full of essentially the ingredients of the bottle that melt into the water. Okay, now in the water already, it's not what you think it is. It's not even as pure as water out of the tap in most times. But the plastic that passes from the bottle into the water while it's waiting to go into your body, it's a lot. Sometimes you can even taste it. A lot of the time you can even taste it. So you're not even doing yourself any favors when you have plastic from a health standpoint. So find the glass bottles. At least there's that additional fact that the glass doesn't have all that plastic going into your body that would be visiting you in the way of a plastic bottle.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, one of the things I think that's really positive, I love that positive spin, is that there's just this avalanche of research happening right now into, all the deleterious effects that this, plastic and plastic containing, everything that we're eating and drinking are having. And one of the things they've been looking at, is how much plastic do you get if you're drinking water out of a plastic cup? And these researchers found that if every 4 to 5 days you have a glass of water out of a plastic cup rather than glass, and I said glass of water because you should be drinking it out of glass, but if you're drinking it out of plastic because it seems convenient, what they're estimating is that over the course of a year, you could be ingesting 89,000 tiny pieces of plastic that are shedding off the surface of that cup. And this also goes for paper cups because, everyone was like, oh, we're not using plastic, here's a paper cup. Well, if a paper cup has a liquid in it, and it doesn't matter if it's hot or cold, it's lined with, polyethylene. It's got a plastic layer inside it. And that is shedding tiny pieces of plastic.
Oh, my God.
So gross.
Yeah. By the way, deleterious, please, is a ding word.
Thank you. I was
Okay,
going to
go ahead.
say, yeah.
Yeah, I should have said deleterious, and then I should have stopped, right, and waited for the ding. Or
No. We would never interrupt. You should finish your thought. We keep track, so you don't need to worry ever about stopping. No. I do, by the way, just as long as we're talking about words, like the way that Belinda says avalanche. Say it again.
Avalanche.
Avalanche.
Mark, there's an avalanche of evidence. So we're inundated by these plastics. It sounds to me it's very hard to dodge it day to day. It's very hard. It's essentially infested everything.
Yeah, and because of this, and like I said, the more informed we are and the more that we know, that's why we are all so dedicated to recycling, but we can't recycle our way out of this mess. We have to stop using so much plastic, and we have to really pressure the manufacturers of it. I mean, they say that Coke is making 200,000 plastic bottles an hour. I mean, it's insane.
You made the point last week, and you've alluded to it again this week, that it has to be the responsibility of the producer to recycle. The sustainability responsibility has to fall back on the producer. There's no way that they're allowed to get all that money without worrying about what happens to that thing that generated all that money. I think that makes total sense and is completely defensible. Now, whether it gets done, it actually is being done, though. You made that point last week.
Yeah, no, it is. I mean, you've got European countries. I think it's Finland where they have these special receptacles in a store where, you pay a deposit when you buy the bottle. And then as soon as you go back to the store and you shove it in the hole of this, recycling receptacle, you get given money back. And as soon as you incentivize people with 10 cents, 15 cents, 5 cents for the bottle, the return rate goes way up. So they've seen, their plastic detritus, there's been a real dip in it because, they've said producers have to take responsibility. You have to provide the infrastructure, and that's what's going to happen here in California with this new Plastic Reduction Act, which I think is really great. But I just want to talk a little bit about plastic in the ocean, because I think that we've talked about before on the show that what happens in the ocean is sort of very out of sight, out of mind, and we really take the ocean for granted. And it happens to be, an ecosystem that I, love. I come from, a country that's, a couple of islands. I surf, I scuba dive, I used to, I'm really, into the ocean as an ecosystem. But we all need to really focus on how amazing it is, because the thing that I think a lot of people don't realize is the ocean makes our planet livable. And that's from, weather systems for a start. But when it comes to climate change, the ocean is sequestering 1/3 of the CO2 that we human beings are putting into the atmosphere every year. That's 12 billion tons of carbon dioxide, which is huge. And the way that the ocean does this is through this thing called the biological carbon pump. So you've got all the phytoplankton, which are basically the plants of the ocean. They're floating on the top. And because the ocean, covers, 70+% of the Earth's surface, this always blows my mind. There's more phytoplankton by biomass than there are trees and vegetation on all the terrestrial, continents of the world. Phytoplankton, which is tiny, actually is bigger, biomass-wise. And what the phytoplankton does is, like all plants, it photosynthesizes. How does it do that? It uses sunlight. It absorbs the CO2 that's being dissolved into the ocean from all the CO2 we're putting into the atmosphere. And then the phytoplankton get eaten by little zooplankton. So they're you've got the primary producer, the phytoplankton, and then you've got the little zooplankton, the little animals, the biggest of which is krill. And they eat the phytoplankton. And then when they poop, the carbon from the phytoplankton gets into their little fecal pellets, and that then drops down through the water column from the ocean surface all the way to the bottom of the ocean, to the ocean floor, and then it gets remineralized into rocks, so calcium carbonate, and that sequesters all that CO2 that we're putting up there. But
that's wild.
Yeah.
Kim, could you repeat that process for us, please? The one that Belinda just,
I don't, but I can tell you this.
Kim, how are you?
Go.
My 13-year-old daughter my favorite drink comes in a plastic bottle. So it's a Tejava peach black tea and sometimes the pineapple tea. It doesn't come in the glass. So she was drinking it, and I was trying to explain to her what you had said the last time you were on Mark Thompson's show, themarkthompsonshow.com, and about her swallowing plastic and about how many plastic particles were in the drink. And she looked at me and said, Mom, and she's 13. She said, Mom, my whole body's made of plastic now. She goes, I'm just adding a fraction to what's already inside me. At this point, does it even matter anymore? And I thought, how sad is that at 13 years old, she already knows that she's loaded with plastic and that there's probably never do about it.
But that actually is troubling on several different levels. I'll get to Mike Hendricks' question if I can about Britta in just a second. But what troubles me about that question, and then Belinda, I will stand out of the way, let you answer it. But it just troubles me that you can apply that same thinking to anything. So I can say, well, I get it. Climate crisis, it's all bad. There's poison everywhere. There's nothing I can do about it. So, what's a little bit going to matter? It all matters. Every little bit matters. It's like saying you can eat whatever you want. Yeah, my diet's already crap. So there's no way I can slowly, one step at a time, you can improve. It just seems like too big a problem. That's what I like about Belinda. She shows us approaches to attacking these problems. Every little bit puts a dent in it. But it was sort of depressing to hear from Kim that the 13-year-old child, sort of feels like, there's plastic all over my body already.
Yeah, she's that generation is disillusioned with what's going on in the environment and thinks that nothing that they do will make a difference.
John Smith says we're living in a plastic world and you are a plastic. What is that? What's the line from what? That's from a song.
Barbie
right?
Girl.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
When you think about this, it's another avalanche of teen depression. And, we're surrounded by it. And these kids know, obviously, they've had the pandemic to deal with, and that has had a huge, impact on mental health. But I think all the information that they know about what's happening to the planet is also really messing with their psyches hugely. And Kim, when you tell that story about your kid, it just, it hurts my soul. It really does. This is why all this research is so important, because once you get this research and once people, know what's going on, then we can start moving the dial and we can get this legislation. And that's how, we got Ben Allen to introduce this legislation into, California and to, change the game. There's not going to be polystyrene here, within the, by the end of, the 2025, the 2020.
Yeah, California is taking strides. That's why these conversations do matter. If you've noted, last week we told you about the the pushback on plastic producers. This week, others. So it does matter. There are things that can
You're
be...
down to 5% battery.
I know. We're way late. I got to wrap up. Find Belinda Waymouth across social media. Belinda Waymouth, Waymouth, and we'll talk to you next Thursday. Thanks, Belinda Weymouth. Thank you.
Lovely to be here. Bye, everybody.
See you. We are so out of time, and I didn't even get... John, I blame you. I didn't get to things that I said I was going to get to, and
whoever is producing this thing has no idea what they're doing.
You had your Herschel Walker, your Democratic hot tip.
I feel like
I wanted to hear the hot tip. I wanted to hear it.
Well, I'm going to give you the hot tip now, and I don't care. We're going to run a little late. I'm sorry, but Nick, I do want you to go over to Nikki's show, the Nikki Maduro show, on her channel. But let me give the little piece of advice to Democrats. You need to find better talking points that are legitimately true, okay? You're facing oftentimes opposition that is using cultural wedge issues that don't really have a lot of foundations in truth. I mean, I'm talking about cultural issues sort of with a black, what's being taught in the classroom, transgender education. They're making, they use racial cultural divisions as well. But let's get away from that. Talk about the third rail of politics that the Republicans have actually articulated as something they put on the agenda when they take power. And I'm talking about the rollback of Social Security and Medicare. That is on the agenda. You don't hear Democrats talking about that. That's what is at stake if Republicans take over. You should have that conversation, Democrats. I mean, Kevin McCarthy said this. I've got his quote. He won't rule out cuts to Social Security and Medicare if Republicans win back Congress. You can't just continue down the path to keep spending and adding to the debt, he says. And if people want to make a debt ceiling for a longer period of time, just like anything else, there comes a point in time where, okay, we'll provide you more money, but you got to change your current behavior. So they're seriously talking, and they've been talking about this for years, about rolling back Social Security and Medicare. And that's important to a lot of Americans. It's something that you've paid into, and it's something that you're counting on. You may even be using funds from Social Security now in Medicare. That's a real thing, okay? It's not fake, it's real.
That's not fake.
And you can use it to your advantage politically. And as I say, it's not invented. It's not blown out of proportion. This is real. So you've got the rollback of Roe, and you've got that, which I think really hits people where they live. And again, I think it's going to be an ugly election for Democrats, but may not be as ugly as we think. But that's my pro tip for Democrats. You need to find messaging on that issue. What else do I need to do? John Daly, are we done?
You're out of time.
I didn't even get to Herschel Walker. We're out of time.
Bye-bye.
Right. So thank you, everybody who supported us. Thanks for, I didn't even tell my cat story. John, the first 20 minutes of tomorrow's show will be one of the great 20 minutes in the history of the show.
See, here's the thing. You don't even have commercial breaks now, but we managed to fill them.
I am...
I'm Shadow Stevens for the Mark Thompson Show.
Thank you, Shadow.
Bye-bye.
I'm really disappointed on what I've heard on today's show. I'm really disappointed.
But tomorrow, I promise you, the first 20 minutes of tomorrow's show, if you watch nothing else, we've got Florida and all the rest tomorrow, but I have a packed first 20 minutes because it's stuff that I didn't get to today. So
out of time. Bye-bye.
Go over to Nikki's show. She's on the air now with the Nikki Maduro show. We have a Twitter Spaces that I'll tell you about. That's happening on Saturday. That'll have Chip Franklin, myself, and Nikki and others. Maybe John and Kim will be joining as well. Thanks to everybody who supports the show all the ways you do. Smash the like button. Until next time, thank you, Patreon members, and bye-bye.
Bye.